In the previous section, we talked about solving equations. In this section, we're going to talk about some of the applications of solving equations. So in your notes, the first example says, Selena and Jasmine paid $35 for a pizza and agree to split the cost based on how much pizza is eaten by each person, which sounds fair, right? Because like I eat almost the whole pizza, and if I just leave a slice for somebody else, it's not fair that they pay half the pizza's cost. So it makes sense that you pay for whatever you eat. So Jasmine eats 2/3 as much pizza as Selena. How much do each of them pay? Okay, now let's think about this. We have two people that eat the pizza. We have Jasmine and we have Selena. Jasmine eats 2/3 as much as Selena. So does she eat more than Selena or less than Selena? Okay, I want you guys to think about that. And then I want you to think about, so should she pay more or less than what Selena pays? Okay. Now there are usually 3 steps to most problems solving equations. So most word problems. So the first step is you define the variables and relate them if applicable. Okay, so you want to look at the question that's being asked. So the question is, how much do each of them pay? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for how much each of them are paying. Okay, so we're going to say that the amount paid by Selena, we can call that P. Or you can use X or whatever, but since this is price, I'm going to say P. P is how much Selena pays. Okay, now the next part is, okay, so now there are 2 people that pay for the pizza, it's not just one. So what's the amount paid by Jasmine? So if Jasmine ate 2/3 as much pizza as Selena, that means she only paid 2/3 as much as Selena paid. So the amount that Jasmine paid is going to be 2/3 P. It's 2/3 as much as Selena. Okay, so step 1, we define the variables and we related them because now they both have the same variable, which is P. Step 2, write an equation and solve. So this was step 1. Step 2, let's convert this into an equation. Okay, so the problem says that they together paid $35 for a pizza. So if Selena paid P amount of dollars, now Jasmine only ate 2/3 the amount of pizza that Selena ate, so she only paid 2/3 as much as Selena paid. So it's going to be plus 2/3 P, and that's going to equal to $35. The amount that Selena paid plus the amount that Jasmine paid, and that equals to $35. Okay, so what do we do when we have a fraction? We learned this in the previous section. The easiest way is to eliminate the fraction by multiplying each side by the LCD. Now in this case, you only have one denominator, which is 3. So our lowest common denominator is going to be 3, which means we're going to multiply both sides by 3. Okay, let's distribute. We have 3 times P, that's going to be 3P. Then we have 3 times 2/3 P, so this will give us 3 times 2/3 and then times P. And that's going to equal to 35 times 3, which is 105. Okay, let's simplify this. The 3 and 3, they cancel each other out. That's the whole point, is to get rid of the fraction. So this will give us 3P plus 2 times P, that's going to be 2P equals to 105. 3P plus 2P is going to be 5P equals to 105. So if you divide by 5, you're going to get P is equal to 21. Okay, now if P is 21, then Jasmine paid 2/3 times that, so it's going to be 2/3 times 21. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. So Selena pays $21 and Jasmine pays $14. Does that make sense? Does 21 plus 14 add up to be 35? It does. 21 plus 14 is 35, so it makes sense because the entire pizza costs $35. Okay, so we got P equals to 21, and remember that Jasmine's cost is 2/3 times P, and since P is 21, I replaced the P with 21, and I got $14. If you leave your answer like this, you're going to get a point marked off. To get full credit, you have to write this in a complete sentence. So to write that in a complete sentence, you would write the amount paid by Selena is $21, and the amount paid by Jasmine is $14. And then this would give you full credit for your answer. Okay? So we're going to be using the same exact steps. Define the variable, write an equation, and solve for the other problems. Okay, here's the next part. It says, a couple wants to invest $28,000 for their child's college fund. Okay, so this couple has $28,000. Now what do they do with that? They choose to invest this in stocks and bonds. So some of it they put in stocks, and then some of this $28,000 they put in bonds. Now it says since bonds are safer than stocks, the couple invests $12,000 more in bonds than they do in stocks. How much money is invested in stocks and in bonds? All right, so in step 1, we are going to define our variables and relate them if possible. So to define our variables, we look at the question. The question asks, how much money is invested in stocks and how much money is invested in bonds? Okay, so it's asking for two things. The amount of money invested in stocks, so we'll call this S, and then the amount of money invested in bonds. Now, what does the problem say? It says the couple invests $12,000 more in bonds than they do in stocks. So if they invested S amount of dollars in stocks, they invested $12,000 more than that in bonds. So the amount of money invested in bonds is going to be S plus 12,000. Okay, now if you're curious about which one do I call just the variable that's by itself? Well, it says that the couple invests $12,000 more in bonds than they do in stocks. So since this is $12,000 more than the amount of money in stocks, you want to have the amount of money in stocks just as S, so we can say the amount of money in bonds is S plus 12,000. Okay, so what else do we know? We know that if you add the amount of money in stocks plus the amount of money in bonds, it's going to equal to 28,000. So in step 2, we write our equation. The amount of money in stocks plus the amount of money in bonds, this equals to $28,000. Okay, let's solve our equation. Do we have any fractions? No. Do we have any distribution? Well, kind of. There's this parentheses, but they're just a 1 in front. So even if I distribute it, I would just get the same thing back. So there's no distribution. Do I have any like terms? I do. You have S plus S, that's going to give me 2S plus 12,000, and that's going to equal to 28,000. Okay, now by now, I know you guys know how to solve the equation. You subtract 12,000 from each side. So this will give you 2S is equal to 16,000. You divide both sides by 2, and you're going to get S equals to 8,000. So the amount of money in stocks is going to be $8,000. How much money is in bonds? It's S plus 12,000. So if S is 8,000, then 8,000 plus 12,000, that's going to be 20,000. Now, does that make sense? 8,000 plus 20,000, does that give you 28,000? Yeah. Is 12,000 more than 8,000? Yes. So both these conditions are met. The amount of money in bonds is 12,000 more than the amount of money in stocks. And if you add those together, it gives you $28,000. So the amount of money invested in stocks is is $8,000. And the amount of money invested in bonds is $12,000. And then when you have a complete sentence, and I forgot the word is, let's make it grammatically correct. This will be your final answer. Okay, next example. So the next example says that Lisa gets a test score of 80, 83, 71, 61, and 95. So she has 5 tests, and those are the scores on each of her tests. It says, what score does Lisa need on her final exam, which is worth 2 test grades, in order to have an average of 80%? She really wants to be in the class. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Her test scores are 80, 83, 71, 61, and 95. Now the question says, what score does she need on her final exam, which is worth 2 test grades, in order to have an average of 80%? So in step 1, we define the variable. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the score Lisa needs on her final exam. And we can call that whatever. We can call it X or S or Y, or it doesn't matter. But what we're looking for, the score that Lisa needs on her final exam, that's going to be X. Okay, so we defined our variable. So we only have one in this case. Step 2, let's write an equation. So we know that she needs an average score of 80%, and these are her past scores. So step 2 is going to actually be up here. So these are her 5 test scores. Her final exam, we don't know how much she gets on it, but we know that it counts for 2 test grades, so we're going to say plus X. And all of that divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we need that average to be 80%. So if that average is going to be 80%, what does X have to be? Okay, well, let's simplify this. So let's first add up all the constants. So if you add 80 plus 83 plus 71 plus 61 plus 95, it's going to give you 390. If you add X plus X, it's going to give you 2X. All of that divided by 7, and that's going to equal to 80. Okay, now what's happening? The 390 plus 2X is being divided by 7. So to get rid of the 7, we're going to multiply it to both sides. Okay, so now what happens? We're going to get 390 plus 2X, that equals to 80 times 7, which is going to be 560. Okay, so let's solve that equation. Let's move the 390 to the right. So we get 2X is equal to 170. You divide by 2, and we're going to get X equals to 85%. So in step 3, we write this as a full sentence. So we can say that Lisa needs an 85 on the final in order to have an average score of 80%. Okay, last example for this section. The last example says, at a year in clearance, a car dealer's insurance reduces the price of a car by 12%. The discounted price of the car is $28,160. What is the car's list price? Okay, so you have a car, and the car originally cost something, and it was discounted by 12%. So the question is, how much was the car's original price? So step 1, you define the variable, and if there are 2 variables or more, then you relate them. But in this case, you only have 1 variable. Look at the question. The question says, what was the car's list price? Now, usually, whatever you're looking for, that is your variable. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for the car's list price. And we're going to say this equals to P. Okay, P is equal to the car's list price. Okay, that's step 1. Now, is there more than 1 variable? Are we looking for 2 or more things? No, we're only looking for 1 thing, so we only have 1 variable. Okay, in step 2, it says, write an equation and solve. So how do you write an equation? Well, let's read the problem. It says, a car dealer reduces the car's price by 12%. So if the car's list price is P, okay, the discount of 12%, the word of means multiplication. So it's 12% of the original price. So the discount is going to be 0.12 times P. If you convert 12% to a decimal, that's 0.12. And it's a discount of 12%, so it's going to be 0.12 of the original price. That's how much you're getting off. So it's going to be 0.12 times P. Now, how do we get an equation out of that? So that's the car's original price. If there was no discount, if you bought this car in like March, that's how much you would pay. But now it's the end of the year, this car needs to go, so it's discounted by 12% of the original price. So it's 12% of the original price, which is 0.12p. And the discounted price is $28,160. That's your equation. The original price of the car minus 12% of the original price, which is 0.12 times P, that equals to 28,160. Now let's combine our like terms. This is like a 1 in the front, so if you take 1 minus 0.12, you subtract the coefficients. 1 minus 0.12 is going to be 0.88. So we have 0.88p equals to 28,160. I divide that by 0.88. And the car's list price, I'm going to get as $32,000. Okay, so the car's list price is $32,000. And I need a full sentence to get full credit, so this will be my final answer. I'm not convinced that's true because, I don't know, it's kind of a weird problem. So let me make sure. Let me like do a common sense check. So I know that the car's original price is $32,000. There was a discount of 12%. So if you take 32,000, multiply that by 12%, that'll give you the discount. So 12 times 2 is 24, carry over the 2, 12 times 3 is 36, plus 2 is 38. So the discount is going to be, if you multiply this, you're going to get 3840. Now, if you take the original price, which is 32,000, and you subtract 3840 from it, you should get $28,160, which you do, and this is how you know that you did it correctly. So you can usually go back and do a common sense check to make sure that whatever your answer is, it is correct. Okay, so this is it for this part of the notes. If you have any questions, come prepared to class with them.